have a surprise in the Luigi Mangione case. Very shocked to hear this one. It appears that the judge has changed her mind. Changed her mind about what? You see, Luigi's defense team, they have come forward a couple weeks ago, basically, pushing back on the way that Luigi's search and seizure was operated when Luigi was arrested, in particular, Luigi's book bag. And at first, it seemed like the judge was not interested in pursuing that information. But now the judge has changed her mind. And this is the big surprise for Luigi Mangione's defense team. A federal judge on Monday changed her mind and decided there should be a hearing to determine whether Luigi Mangione's backpack was lawfully seized. So everybody remember this, that when they arrested Luigi Mangione, they said he had a book bag with him. The police seized that. And there has been some disagreement back and forth as to whether or not they had a warrant, as to whether or not they read him his rights, like all these things that are supposed to happen, of course, when you are, arrested. And his defense team has been heavily fighting that he was not treated the way that he was supposed to be treated. So let's get into this, ladies and gents. The seizure of Luigi Mangione's backpack to be the subject of a federal court hearing. All right. Let me see if I can make it bigger to get rid of that stupid ad. Thank you. The judge in Luigi Mangione's federal trial says she'll hold a hearing with a senior member of Altoona, Pennsylvania Police Department to go over the policies the department says enabled them to seize and look through Mangione's backpack at the time of his arrest. Mangione was arrested at a McDonald's restaurant in Pennsylvania just days after the killing of the United Healthcare CEO, Bryant Thompson. Judge Margaret Garnett said she expects the hearing will be brief. She ordered it to take place in the next 2 weeks. The judge said the hearing will be about the established or standardized procedures in use by the department in December of 2024 for securing, safeguarding, and, if applicable, inventorying the personal property of a person arrested in a public place. So here's the question I have for everyone, and please make sure you answer that poll question that's pinned at the top of the live chat. If it turns out that the police in Altoona did not follow protocol when seizing Luigi's book bag, what happens to this case? Because I would assume that the defense can argue that the case has to be thrown out. There were a number of things that were said. There were a number of things that were said that they searched his book bag when it was not in his possession, that they took the book bag and searched through it, not in front of him. That's one of the claims. That's problematic. We know people can plant things. Not like it hasn't happened before. There were a number of things that were said. It's like that they didn't have a warrant to do this. Now, and we haven't heard Luigi Mangione speak. Obviously his lawyers are telling him, don't say anything to the public, to the press, especially. So we don't really know how he's feeling about this. We're only hearing from his defense and, of course, the judge and the prosecution. And what I'm wondering is, and everybody pay attention, I know a lot of us have been watching what's going on with this case, because what I'm wondering, if they can prove that they illegally searched his bag and seized his bag, does this case end? Does that mean that Luigi Mangione would be acquitted because they didn't follow protocol? Let's continue on a little bit more, ladies and gents. The judge said the hearing will be about the established or standardized procedures in use by the department in December of 2024 for securing, safeguarding, and if applicable, inventorying the personal property of the person arrested in a public place. The judge also said that whosoever testifies from the Altoona Police Department need not have been directly involved in the review of Mangione's book bag and its contents, but be of sufficient authority within the department to give an overview of the typical procedures. Mangione's defense team has argued in both state and federal court that the contents of Mangione's book bag, including a pistol and a notebook, should not be admitted at trial because police searched the book bag prior to receiving a search warrant. Now, I have to look into this. Any of the law nerds in the chat, this is something that we have to dive into and look into, right? Because I know you need a warrant to search things, but do you need a warrant to search something if you have probable cause? Hopefully the law nerds in the chat, you guys can let me know, because there have been times when police have searched people without a warrant. Like for example, if you get pulled over by the police and you're pulled because you were speeding, so they're pulling you over to give you a speeding ticket and come up to your car and go, "Do you know how fast you were driving?" But while they're there, they smell marijuana, which they assume is coming from the car. There have been times when they have searched people's cars because they said they smelled marijuana and they're like, "Oh, let's see what's in this car." So that's why I'm asking, are there certain circumstances when you don't need to have a warrant, right? And some of you are already saying in the chat, let me go ahead and put this up here. Opie said you don't need a warrant. Black Plumber said no. Yeah, it's a number of things. DC says, yeah, certain circumstances. Frankie said happens all the time. Yeah, that's what I'm saying. So, I mean, they're the lawyers. I'm not, but they obviously believe that they have something. Swanky said probable cause is enough to search. Right. So I don't know. Let's continue on a little bit more here. In a lengthy evidentiary hearing in his state trial, Altoona police officers involved in the search of his book bag testified it was their standard procedure to recover property like a book bag from a suspect at the time of his arrest, and a preliminary search of the book bag also would have been standard procedure. That backpack was initially searched when Mangione was arrested at the McDonald's. Officers found a loaded magazine in the book bag during that preliminary search, and a more thorough search back at the station revealed a pistol and a silencer. They also found a journal, which included a to-do list, potential getaway plans, and more. It's interesting, they didn't see the pistol when they did the preliminary search, but they saw it when they got back at the station. That's questionable. Let's continue on here. Mangione's defense team argued in a hearing last week that while officers had the right to safeguard the book bag, they did not have the right to go through it without a search warrant. Mangione has pleaded not guilty to federal and state charges related to the Thompson killing, which set off a nationwide manhunt. If convicted on some of the federal charges he faced, he could get the death penalty. And that takes me to this part here. The other update with this case is that Luigi Mangione is also fighting back against the death penalty. Let's dive into this.
3 stories on our social media, and you decide what we take a closer look at. This week's choices: Luigi Mangione and the death penalty, the medical issue in space forcing NASA to evacuate astronauts, or awards season getting underway. And with 51% of the vote, you chose Luigi Mangione and the death penalty. All right, he was in court yesterday where his attorneys argued the federal judge should take the death penalty off the table. Mangione has pleaded not guilty to killing United Healthcare CEO Brian Thompson in December 2024. And for more on this, I'm joined by ABC News investigative reporter Sasha Pezenik, along with ABC News legal analyst Brian Buckmeyer. Hello, you two. Thanks for joining me on this. Brian, I want to start with you. The federal judge has not yet ruled on whether to exclude the death penalty in Mangione's case. Which factors do judges consider when making that kind of decision?
Yeah, like, let me see if I can explain this well enough for everyone who voted on social media. This question is whether or not this crime of firearm-related murder is death eligible. And for that, you need two things. You need the crime that makes it eligible, firearm-related murder. That definitely covers it. And the next one is you need either a predicate act or some sort of aggravating factor. Now, if you listen to this hearing or follow some of the news, you probably heard a lot about the stalking charge. And for the defense, is arguing that they're saying stalking by its nature is not, quote unquote, a crime of violence. It doesn't have physical injury to it because you can stalk someone without any form of violence. But the prosecution is saying, yes, there was violence involved in the stalking. Look what happened to this person. Look at this brutal murder. And the judge is going to have to look at both arguments, see what case law supports either argument, and then decide whether or not this is going to be a case that involves a death penalty or not.
So I didn't realize that stalking could even get such an extreme charge, that they're bringing up the stalking charge here as well. Look, guys, let's just take this for what this really is. I noticed it the moment he was paraded through the streets of New York with Eric Adams and other police officers, that they were trying to make an example out of Luigi Mangione. We literally do have wealthy, hardcore criminals just roaming around the U.S. and other countries, apparently, according to the Lolita Express, that trafficked human beings, that, assaulted human beings, and have totally gotten away with it, even though there are files, hundreds and thousands of files that show that there was involvement. And I don't see anybody parading them around the street, through the streets of New York. I don't see any handcuffs on Bill Clinton. I don't see handcuffs on Donald Trump. I don't see handcuffs on Ehud Barak. I don't see handcuffs on any of those people that you saw in those pictures from the Epstein files. Luigi is the example. It's the example of don't even think about pursuing this. And then there's still the evidence of to whether or not Luigi was a patsy. We may never know the whole story. That's the thing about it. But what was very weird to me is that when they released the pictures, there were 3 pictures that the police said that this was Luigi. All 3 of those pictures look like different people. One of them looked like a female. I didn't know what was going on there. So we don't really know. And you know what else was interesting? How quickly they're like, we're going to find the person who killed the CEO. But notice how they drag their feet around everything else. Notice how they drag their feet around the Epstein files. They're not trying to find those people. These are the things I want you to pay attention to. Who gets away with stuff and who doesn't? A lot of times that comes down to money. Money and power.
Now, Sasha, the judge also suggested yesterday that Mangione's backpack was lawfully seized when police arrested him in Pennsylvania. So why is that evidence so key to the prosecution's case?
It's absolutely key to the prosecution's case, more specifically what's inside the backpack. When Mangione was found at that McDonald's in Altoona, Pennsylvania, just about a year ago, a little bit more than a year ago, inside it, prosecutors say that police in Altoona, Pennsylvania found, among other things, writings that Mangione had made that prosecutors say points directly to unambiguous evidence of his motive, as well as the alleged murder weapon, other items they found that prosecutors now want to use in their case. If they can.
But the murder weapon wasn't found when they searched his book bag. Let's go back to this part right here. That wasn't found when they searched his book bag at the McDonald's. As it says in all the articles, as the defense has said, that wasn't found until they got back to the police station. So somebody needs to explain, how is it you look through this book bag and you found a notebook and all this other stuff, but you didn't see a weapon, you didn't see a gun, you didn't see a pistol? That part to me is really weird. Then all of a sudden you get back to the police station and, oh, look what else we found. And we have seen time and time again that police have been known to plant weapons on people. And that's not a new thing. So what if that was not the case? What if what they found in that book bag when they were at McDonald's is all that was in that book bag? And then what if when they got back to that police station, they said, oh, let's throw this in there too, make it all stick? Because sometimes what happens is that police and detectives, they'll have this inkling and they'll feel like, we know he did it. We know this person did it, but they won't have all the evidence. So sometimes they'll, plant something so that it can stick. Haven't we seen this happen before? Let's continue.
Now want to use in their case. If they can keep the backpack and what's in it in the case, then they have a lot more of a robust set of evidence to point to that could potentially link him directly to the murder of the United Healthcare CEO. If they do not get to keep the backpack and what's in it, then they're going to have to resort to other evidence. Now, the federal judge yesterday said,
what other evidence? So listen to this part here that she says again, because I just want to know, what is the other evidence?
Do not get to keep the backpack and what's in it, then they're going to have to resort to other evidence. Now,
what other evidence? Because I would think if they had other evidence, they didn't need to rely on the book bag. But it seems like they do need to rely on the book bag. And again, if the judge says this wasn't, you did this the wrong way, that you were supposed to have a warrant, you didn't do it, or yes, you took it out of his sight, we don't know if you put something in there or not, what happens to this case? Does the entire case go away because they mishandled? We've seen this happen before where someone was arrested, but turns out there was an error with the arrest or with the paperwork, and the whole thing just goes to crap, and then they're set free. Now we're talking about freedom. We say that freedom isn't free. So I'm in the camp to believe that people have to be proven guilty. Like it's supposed to be innocent until proven guilty. But a lot of times it operates as guilty until proven innocent. If the press says you're guilty, the police say you're guilty, the press says you're guilty, you're supposed to be guilty. That's part of the reason why they paraded him through the street like that. They wanted the press to also get that same message. You better sell it that he's guilty, he did it. One of the things that his lawyer said in the beginning is she said that she didn't appreciate the way the press was already saying that he did it because the trial hadn't even started yet. I'm saying the same thing about Tyler Robinson, and I'm trying to warn you guys. I'm hearing it all now. Even when it comes to Tyler Robinson and the Charlie Kirk thing, notice the way the press is talking about it. They have already said that Tyler Robinson did it. So what happened to innocent until proven guilty? Because if the press can already say that you are guilty, people are more likely to believe it. And yes, I do feel like that can hurt the case.
Now, the federal judge yesterday said that the backpack was lawfully seized, and she reserved the right to rule on the specific items that were found in it. So we'll have to see where we go from here.
Yeah, we do. All right, I want to go to the other side. Brian, what stands out to you about the defense's strategy so far?
It's interesting. I actually kind of focused on the backpack, the strategy of trying to get it out. Now, understand, we've already seen a hearing when it comes to the suppression of those items through the arrest of Luigi Mangione on the state side. But from the state side, there are different standards of person's Fourth Amendment right than in the feds. And so I thought, as someone who practices in the SDNY, it might be a pretty hard argument for them to get anything suppressed from the federal standpoint. But their arguments are pretty strong. I'm a little bit jealous at some point. I want to use them in my own cases in the future. And I think there might be an argument to at least have a hearing. Whether or not they win, I think that's a greater long shot in the federal court than in the state. But that stood out to me, that the judge is at least still considering the contents of the backpack.
All right, I want to look ahead now. Sasha, what's next for Mangione's federal and state cases?
Well, one of the
Pause here for a second. You know what I just thought about? Anybody notice this pattern of young males? Tyler Robinson, young male. Luigi Mangione, young male. Seems kind of convenient, don't it? Wonder what message they may be trying to send, right? I wonder. You know, I didn't believe that, and I still don't believe they have enough evidence for Tyler Robinson. I haven't seen it. Have you guys? But they said he did it. So, you know how that goes.
Most important things that we learn is that we could now see a trial before 2026 ends. The judge yesterday said that it's likely that we could see a trial scheduled for the end of this year if the death penalty stays on the table. It could be January of 2026, possibly December of 2026 or January of next year. And that would bring it right up to the 2-year anniversary of when this all happened.
The way that they were parading him around here as if he was Bane. I felt like I was watching, what is it, The Dark Knight? Not is it The Dark Knight Rises? Is that the one with Bane? I think that's the one with Bane. Anyway, I felt like I was watching the Batman movie with Bane. Remember when Bane was walking around and he was like, "You grew up in the dark." No, what did he say? Bane said, You drive in the dark. I was born in the dark. Tom Hardy. He killed it in that role, I thought. But anyway, it kind of reminded me of that. I was like, they were acting like he was like Bane or something. It was really weird to me. Like I said, I've never seen them do this with anyone else. Never seen them do that. Jeez Louise.
If it is no longer a capital case, then we could see it as early as October. There are a bunch of other evidentiary issues that both judges have to rule on in both the federal and the state case. What can be kept in, what's out, and so a lot to look forward to in the coming months.
All right, Brian, Sasha, thank you. Please come back again.
So the big fight now is going to be against the death penalty as well. You can put that one back up there, Eric. The people will find him not guilty. Yeah, it's interesting. I'm curious to see what that poll says. I'm going to check the poll at the end. All right. Thank you for the poll. What will happen to Luigi Mangione's case? 35% said they will find him guilty. 9% said they will find him not guilty. 20% said the case will be dismissed. And 36% said, I have no idea. That's an interesting mix there, but most people say that they will find him guilty. That's interesting. Hey guys, this was a Sabby clip. If you like what you saw, hit that like button and subscribe.